Good evening, everybody. Season's greetings. The temperance in us greets the temperance in you. So maybe this word temperance is not that familiar. It's a bit of an old quality from the good old Victorian days, when you spoke about somebody having a good temper or a bad temper, or having the quality of temperance. What could that be? So historically, the quality of temperance meant that they were not extremist, that these people or animals were able to move with moderation, not aroused too easily, not too reactive. But of course, as we look at things from the outside in, like we look at a person and describe them as having a quality as if they're an object like a shiny vase or a temperate part of the world, we're not quite there in the non-dual space yet. To really connect with the quality, we need to experience what it is to be temperate. What would temperance be as a sensation, as a point of view, as a window of consciousness, as a quality of consciousness? So temperance has everything to do, obviously, with temperature. And even more sneakily within that, there is something about tempo, time, temporariness, the passing of sensations and phenomena. So it begins to be interesting, this quality of temperance. Because when we look at it from the point of view of the one that is originating behind the experience, then temperance becomes something intimately connected with the ability to experience directly, sentiently, sensately. And one of the most clear, multi-dimensional spectrums of experience is this spectrum of temperature. The spectrum from boiling hot all the way through to lukewarm, to cool, to cold, to freezing cold, to so cold that it's hot, or to so hot that it's cold. There is not a moment of experience which doesn't involve this faculty, and it's so strong in terms of how we experience anything at all, including things like love and peace and freedom, that it's even a whole faculty of the brain that can sense temperature, space, out of which the quality of temperance is coming to life. The ability to sense temperature. So we all had those aunties or grandfathers or grandmothers who could tell you your temperature just by kissing your forehead, and how that kiss in itself would have a remedying effect, either a cooling effect or maybe a warming effect. This ability to sense temperature is so intimately connected with being physically alive directly, without split. And it comes directly into that space of it is what it is as a living experience. And when we really take the experience of temperature, for example, the experience of cold, what is that as an experience? Is it inside the body, underneath the skin? Is it on the skin surface? Is it moving around and through the body? Is it moving up and down the spine? Or is it in the air around the body? What kind of a phenomena is it? And if we take the physical experience of warmth, being warmed, heat. What's that? Where do we experience it? In what dimension or space, dimensions or spaces do we experience warmth, heat? And it's quite a beautiful interplay, because these two, like all dualities, are utterly depending on each other. Meaning, if we were out in a chilly, cold night, and we came into what is objectively not such a warm room, we might feel an incredible warmth in the room because our body became so cold. It's relative. And if we're very warm, and somebody sprinkles on you some drops of water, on room temperature water, it can be piercingly cold, shockingly awakening. Because the experience of temperature depends on where we are coming from. If we had an old lady living on the street who's icy cold, who never really shows any emotion, who's just like hardly through her thin lips saying, good morning, frozen. And then one afternoon we meet her and she smiles with a joy because you have your dog with you. Then it's like a spectacular warmth is breaking through just by virtue of the contrast. Whereas somebody else who's warm all the time, it's like, oh, him again. Good morning. Hi. But if they go cold, oh, what happened? So you see, this whole area of hot and cold is not as banal or uninteresting as it might seem, because it transfers directly into the emotional or more subtle experiential dimension, meaning we can have a cold body and we can have cold feelings. We can have a hot body and we can have hot feelings. We can feel a cooling down after a great emotional upset. After that, we want to cool down, to chill out. And if the upset comes again, we might feel that we're seeing red, that the heat is rising again, that we can become hot-headed. And it really also shows how we get caught in dualities. It's a proper barometer of how we judge each other. If we were to say that the Swedish people are a cold-blooded people, and the Russians even more cold, frozen, that's not very nice, is it? But then if we were to turn towards the Italians and the Greeks, and we were to say that these Mediterranean chaps, hot-blooded people, really are hot-blooded people, well, you don't want to be relaxing too deeply around them. You could get burnt. Also not very nice. So there's a kind of implicit need or wanting for the middle zone, the temperate zone, the not too hot, not too cold, the lukewarm. But if you were to say that the Dutch people are all very lukewarm, not this and not that, it's just like, okay, give me Sweden any day. Also not very nice. It's almost got shame in it, and that's a hot emotion, isn't it? It's almost got rejection in it, which can be either icy cold, like a knife made of ice, or stingingly hot, depending on where you are receiving it from, or just lukewarm because we're getting rejected all the time, again and again and again. So we can see that there is an experiential element which is actually directly affecting into the physical sensations. If we've been very upset and we feel a cooling energy, And it's almost like wisdom can cool us down. And there can be goosebumps, shivers, but in a very pleasant way. And if we've been very, very frozen in depression, feeling the whole world is cold, then the warming up is also, can be a movement of pure quality, just a moment of love, a moment of joy has this melting effect, this reunion effect where frozen parts of ourselves begins to wake up and merge and flow back into the whole. And you'll notice also, as I'm talking about the cold and the hot, just the language is reflecting something of the upward and downward movement. We heat ourselves up and we cool ourselves down. We don't cool ourselves up or heat ourselves down. There is really a polarity in the vertical there. Cooling ourselves down, chilling out, and getting inspired, passionate, inflamed, heating ourselves up, upward movement. So something's happening in the whole movement of energy from above to below and from below to above. There's a dynamic process happening in the vertical, but also in the horizontal, in how we relate to each other, there's a process happening. If you touch somebody with warmth, it has one effect. If you touch somebody in a cold way, if you reach out and there's a coldness in your energy, it has another effect. Not clear whether it's good or bad. It's more connected with whether it's needed or not. So here comes the non-dual quality of temperance. Somebody's feeling cold, frozen in isolation. Deep inside their soul, there's an ice-cold feeling of isolation. And how do we move towards that in naturalness? Would we move towards that would we freeze them out more? Would we say, okay, we don't want isolation energy, that's cold, let's freeze ourselves to the cold energy? Would we go with them into the ice age, or at least segregate them in a frozen place? Be cold towards the cold aspects of experience. Well, temperance would tend to go in the other direction. If there's a lot of cold in the other, it would tend to come with this mediating effect of warming, inviting back into the center, into the flow, into the temperate regions where everything is possible to move and form and transform, to heat up and to cool down, to move through this dynamic process, which is experience. And if somebody was very, very, very angry, hot, 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 would we heat them up even more? Or would temperance want to come with a kind of coolness, naturally? Not to put petrol on the fire, to cool, 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 to give space. It's interesting because maybe sometimes temperance actually does want to put petrol on the fire and to make it hot, 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 so hot it becomes cold, it makes a whole circulation, and then the person by themselves moves through the heat climax into a cooling aspect. But that would need to happen in naturalness. So temperance is a very interesting quality because it's also connected with being tenderly connected in an unfiltered way, meaning there's a physical aspect to it. There's a natural responsivity to it. There's an attunement to it. And there's a connection to what's needed, not from the mind, but through the body, through the wisdom of the body. If there's too much combustion, too much combustion, too much combustion, then maybe a cooling is helpful. It helps create space. If there's too much freeze, too much iciness, too much coldness, that kind of suffering, loneliness, numbness, depression, then just moments of warmth can make all the difference. All the difference meaning out of the coldness, out of the frozen energy, a melting can happen in which something comes to life again. What was just an ice cube of frozen orange juice becomes a liquid drink which is so delicious. It becomes possible to experience what the freeze is made of as it moves into the flow, and it's possible then for it to go where it needs to go. So there's something here connected with basic need and basic care and compassion, and a lot of qualities begin to come online because we're looking at the building blocks of the whole universe of which we are made, of which we are a part, how we experience being alive. And we are living in that temperate middle zone, that gray area where life can be. And it seems that it's most worthwhile to be in the temperate regions of the psyche, of the personality, because from there, growth is possible. From there, there's more insight possible, more seeding and more pollination of possibility. And when we go into the extremes, there tends to be another generation of another kind of dimension of reality, which has a lot of suffering in it, another dimension of experience. Just look at emotional extremes. Ice cold hatred, bitter, hot, toxic hatred. There's the anger which is furiously hot, and there is the anger which is shown in the freeze, the silent treatment, the total disconnect, the ice of it. All of this is within the range of experience, and it's the temperate quality of temperance which allows us to experience it, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. So we've spoken a lot about all kinds of qualities of true nature, qualities of consciousness, qualities which are at that deeper dimension of experience before it becomes a thing. For example, love or peace or innocence or purity. But if you take any one of these qualities and you move it into the spectrum of temperature, and you say it has to be that, something is happening which is detrimental, in which we're losing something of the field of possibility. So love, for example, does love have to be warm? That warm, fuzzy feeling. Does it have to bring warmth? Now that's a classical cliche around the quality of love, that it has to bring warmth. But if you're all the time in the warmth, do you sense warmth? Yeah. What would happen? What would love do if love was all the time in warmth, and then warmth can no longer be sensed anymore? Love by itself will expand to look for places which are either too cold or too hot, because it's got temperance within it. It will go where it's needed with an even deeper magic, which is beyond hot or cold, which is an effect. Much deeper need, connected with reunion, connected with integration, belonging, release, freedom, oneness, wholeness, manifestation, what's needed in the moment, protection. You see, when temperance comes online, the quality really becomes free to move in her mystery out of the field of infinite possibility. You take another quality, take insight or curiosity, one of these qualities which are more cold, maybe. Peace of mind. Not very hot, is it? Peace of mind is like a kind of very quiet evening in November. The night sky. It's not too hot, but it's quite cold. Maybe you can see the stars. There's not a lot of warmth, not a lot of Italian in it, not a lot of drama. You're missing a bit the volcano. If peace was like that, and we don't even get to the peace of the dead, the graveyard kind of peace, the dead peace, the peace where nothing is happening at all, because if anything happened, it would be a war, wouldn't it? It would be a conflict. So we tend to project peace as being a cold thing, which isn't very attractive. It's almost like it has no life in it, no catalysis in it, no movement in it. But it's not true. When you come home after a very hard day shopping for Christmas or whatever, you step into your home, and at least into the homiest part of your home, maybe your room or your private corner. You come to peace. There's an incredible warmth in the pelvic and an expansion that comes forward. There's a welcome in certain energies of peace. Really a coming home, which brings us to the yumminess of the essential dimension, a kind of nectar that peace moves through. Temperance. Temperance sets it free. There's a spectrum. Through the qualities, there's a whole spectrum. Freedom. Is freedom a hot thing? Is freedom a hot quality, which involves protesting and demanding and releasing? Action, doing, proving, moving the body in whatever way we want to move it, which creates a lot of heat. Or is freedom that breath of cold wind coming when we're in the front of a boat and there's a cold wind moving through the whole spirit because we are alive, and there is this clarity with the coolness? So sometimes we might relate to spiritual energies or healing energies. We might seek warmth. As children, we always missed warmth. Parts of ourselves are nobody's fault, but parts of ourselves were always hungering for the warmth of consciousness, as if it's missing in the collective, together with a certain quality of light. And so we might have learned to believe that all the good stuff is warm. We follow the sun. But at the same time, whenever there's been something which has been conflictual or frozen starts to come online, what you see is a warming and a heating up and an upward movement, and something begins to disperse into the field, and the experience comes forward, and a release is happening, and it's all unfolding in a blazing light of understanding or wonder when we work on ourselves or when we find insight into parts of our lives. And with this warming movement, and you can feel it with your hands, the body will warm up in the releasing movement of memories, of information, even parts of history which haven't been spoken. And after this warming movement, by itself, what can come is this spiritual energy of coolness, almost like a blessing, almost like something's been heated up and then someone's blowing on it to set it, to confirm the new position, the new level of harmony, the new place of understanding. This spiritual energy can come down like a cool breeze, so full of affirmation, which by itself creates space and a kind of calmness in which it's possible maybe for even more movement to come forward, maybe passion to come forward, new direction. this interplay of different energies. Also, what we see if we look at the macrocosm of the climate of our dear planet, just the weather. We're in England, so we like to talk about the weather. The whole interplay of hot and cold, and hot fronts and cold fronts has a lot to do with pressure. Low pressure, high pressure. This is again so extremely experiential, and it's not just physical pressure that we experience as temperance. It's emotional pressure. Something needs to release somehow. The need to release is greater than the need to be a good person. Or low pressure, something just needs to be silenced, to be nobody, to be nothing. So this movement of pressure is moving through the physical, but it's literally a description of how energy is experienced as we are made of it, partly. And how it's experienced through patternings of pressure, hot and cold, as it moves through us. Again, looking for balance, looking for equanimity, looking for the sweet spot in which the optimal amount of the field of possibility can be allowed so that exactly what's needed can come forward in exactly the right temperature, exactly the right pressure, exactly the needed frequency as an expression of all that we are. So temperance isn't all about being a nice Victorian marriageable lady with full of temperance who can totally contain the anger and rage of the men that go to war and the women that get hysterical. She's a temperate lady. She's not too emotional. It's not that. It's not an objective thing. It's a faculty of experience, which is immensely worthwhile. And the more we allow it to come online, just by allowing the experience, the more experience itself can come to life. Exactly as what's needed. The experience of actually being directly alive in the body, heart, soul, all at once. So we'll play a little with that this evening. We'll have a guided meditation in which we will explore the weather, maybe a bit of climate control. That's a joke. We won't go there. Who's controlling the climate, or are we not part of the climate? And we see where it comes to. But for now, we take a 5-minute break. So we see you back again in 5 minutes.
Okay. Okay. Welcome back, everybody. So it's so nice to see you all tonight from London. It's always a little bit challenge to get everything right in another place with electricity and internet, but it works. So if we could find a relaxed position and in finding a relaxed position, connect with the physical body. And maybe connect with where the physical body is supported by the chair, the couch, the mattress, the floor. And maybe it's possible to relax a little bit more deeply into this support. And then I'd like you to connect with the temperature of your body. How does the temperature of your body, of your whole body, feel right now? Does your body feel hot or cold or neutral? And is the feeling of the temperature of the body right now pleasant or unpleasant? And what does the body need right now? Does it need to cool down a little bit? Or maybe warm up a little bit? Or maybe it's exactly right. And then I'd like you to move back in your memory a little bit and just move into the memory of a cold, psychologically cold situation you were in, a cold atmosphere. And when you move back to this cold atmosphere, how does your system react on that? How does your mind react on that, in this cold atmosphere? And how does your body react on this cold atmosphere? And how does your heart react on this cold atmosphere? And when you look at this situation where we were in this cool, cold atmosphere, so what is needed in this atmosphere? Is there anything needed which would come forward through you in this atmosphere? And if you imagine that you bring forward whatever is needed in this cold atmosphere that is moving through you, how does your body react to this? How does your mind react to this? And how does your heart react to this? And then I like to reconnect again with the support of your body right now. And feel where your body is supported. And try to relax even deeper into this support. And how do you experience the temperature of your body right now? And then I'd like you to go back in your memory to a situation where you felt a lot of psychologically warmth, an atmosphere of warmth. And then you replace yourself in this situation where there is an atmosphere of warmth. How does your mind react on this situation? And how does your body react? And how does your heart react? on this atmosphere of warmth. For anything what is needed in this situation, what could move through you. And if you just allow yourself to let this energy move through you that is needed. How does your mind react on this? And how does your body react? And how does your heart react on this? And then I'd like you to connect with the physical body again, and where the physical body is supported by the chair, the couch, the mattress, or the floor. And again, see if you can even relax, surrender yourself a little bit deeper into this support. How does the temperature of your body feel right now? And then I'd like you to regress back to a situation where your body was too cold, where you physically felt too cold. And when you move back to this situation where it was too cold, how does your mind react in this physical coldness? And how does your body react when it's physically too cold? And how does your heart react when it's physically too cold? I'd like you to connect again with your physical body and where the body is supported. And just take some time to relax in this support. And how do you experience the temperature of your body right now? I'd like you to regress to a moment in your life where it was physically too hot, the temperature was too hot. And how does your mind react when it is too hot? And how does your body react when it's too hot? And how does your heart react when it's too hot? To connect again with your physical body and feel where the body is supported. And just allow yourself to relax in this support. How do you experience the temperature of your body right now? And then I'd like you to move back to a situation where the temperature is totally right. You felt that the temperature was absolutely okay for you. How does your mind react on this? And how does your body react? And the temperature is perfect for you. And how does your heart react? Okay. Well, we slowly are coming back from the guided meditation. We say goodbye to the people on the live stream and thank you for joining in with us. And we hope to see you back next week and have a wonderful, wonderful week. Bye.